here. So everyone, so I know some of you are on desk, and that's okay. We're just glad you're here. Please, though, my name's Hazel, for those of you who don't know. Um, I am just, I cold email wonderful humans like Anna to talk to us once a month because I desperately want to learn from them, and I know other folks like you all do too. So if you are here or if you're watching online, please don't hesitate to get back in touch because or to chime in and to ask your questions, because we just started doing this because no one else was doing it. And we know that together we're stronger and we can figure out these quirky queries and learn from each other. So please don't hesitate to just be part of the team. I'm loosely facilitating, but we welcome everyone. And so today, so very excited to have Anna. Do I say De Matos? Is that how I
Yeah,
say
De
your last?
Matos. Yeah, De
Anna
Matos.
De
Just so you know, you
Matos.
need to give me authorization to share. I have.
Ah, yes, of course. Um, there you go. Let's see here. I met her at the Sharable series on Libraries of Things. And I was so excited
Hi, Anna.
because truthfully, I had set up some really bad systems.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
horrible. They were like better. They worked at least a little. Um, but with different boxes and having people have different locks and things. And then Anna presented this like slick system that I'd only ever seen in my dreams, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what libraries need who are a little intimidated by Library of Things. This slick system is really going to change the game, I think, for a lot of folks. So I'm super, and of course it's changed already since I last heard from you, Anna. So I'm super excited to hear a bit more about that. You should be co-host now, is that
Yeah,
true?
I just got that. Yeah.
So more people will probably join as we get going, but Anna, I'm going to let you take it away because I'm not going to try to describe all your cool, as I said, your slick system for you. I just think you're a level above most of us, and I'm just so excited that you're willing to share. So thank you so
All
much.
right, calm down. There's not that much.
It's so good
Uh,
though.
okay, so I started in 2018 in Iceland as a library of things. I'm originally from Brazil. I lived in the UK, and when I moved to Iceland, I didn't really have any family or friends, so it was really hard to be able to use things. So it's the usual suspect where you start something out of your own need. So I started a tool library in 2018. I managed to gather the first 500 items very easily. We had we did a crowdfunding to be able to rent a space to have the items at and to start. Um, and that was, a couple of years just before COVID. So everything seemed to be going great and we were growing slowly. It was pretty steady. We managed to break even every year. Just for clarity, in Iceland, it's illegal to volunteer if it is a 9 to 5 or if there is an opening hours. So if there's certain opening hours, that's expected to be a paid role and a job. So I managed in the first 2, 3 years of the project to always get grants and really through the membership models to be able to have enough money to pay someone to be there and then to also pay the rent of the space and so on. As you guys know, the first two libraries very old, so it's not a really new concept. It's something that's been going on for a very long time. And then the first modern systems or the locker systems that I came across were around 2020, which was peak COVID, which is when I needed one. So basically, what happened was we had to close down because we followed the library rules in Iceland, and we never had more demand ever. Like every day, my inbox was full of people reaching out to me, asking to borrow tools because they were all stuck at home and they wanted to do refurbishment stuff that they couldn't have done before because they were busy at work, and now they had the time, and we just couldn't provide them with things fast enough. At the time, there is this like network of lockers around Reykjavik which is for people with luggages. For if you're a tourist and coming to Iceland, you can drop your luggage there for a period of time. So I contacted the person responsible for that and said, "Can I use your system?" And said, like, it doesn't matter to me what you're using it for, because those lockers you pay on return on picking up the item. So I could put an item in, tell a member the password, and they can come and collect it, and then they would pay for that. And on the return, we used to just have a return day where we would be open, and then they would return. We would clean all the items and things like that. It still wasn't efficient. It was very all over the place. It wasn't ideal for what we were doing. So I applied for a small grant with the proposal of building locker systems. We had a very strong community base, so we were quite, in a way, popular in Iceland, in Reykjavik, for not only the tool library, but also the repair cafes that we run. And basically, I was able to raise a grant specifically for building cabinets. So I contacted Jean from MyTurn. I don't know if you guys know MyTurn. MyTurn is a software for library things. It's the original one, is, in my opinion, the best one in the market. And Jean is just the nicest person ever. If you think I'm nice, Jean is like nicer. So, that's why I was like, the shoes are really big to fill when it comes to being nice in the library things space. So I contacted Gene and said, "Hey, can I automate your system?" And he was like, "Sure, give it a go. And if it works, then great." So within the first year and a half, we managed to do one cabinet. It's still live today. It was completely built of e-waste. And then we start like sharing about it and showing to people. And then we had like a massive inflood of people asking us if they could build what we built. But at the time, we were doing it as a hobby, really. It wasn't meant to be a business or anything. And we didn't feel confident in letting people use our systems because it hadn't been tested for long enough. And I don't want to let people use things that could, catch fire or anything on that level. So we decided, no, what we're going to do is we're going to split. So now we have a NGO, which is called Ringrasálsættur, and that manages the tool library in Reykjavik. So the Munasap Reykjavíkur, it manages the Ringrasálsafnet, which is the self-checkout systems in the libraries, and it manages the repair cafe, and it also does research on life cycle assessment. And that on the other side, now suddenly I am the CEO of a tech company, which is weird, but that is how it pans out. And we developed IoT for making sharing stations. And then last year and the year before, we worked with some people from Tingri, from people from Bibel de Ding in Germany, from La Manivella in Switzerland. And we send them kits with our electronics. So I don't know if you can see it. This is what it looks like. It's tiny. And then it connects to a lock, those two, and then it makes the lock work. And the way we built our system is that it's completely modular, which means you can install the lock controller kit into cabinets that you already have. So you can start very easy, very simple, or you can go out and do what these guys did, which is like a big project. You can have it as a touch screen, you can have it in a tablet, and now we can also have it as an app. So we're just finishing now our app. So we wanted to lower the cost of creating sharing stations to the minimum we could possible. So to do that, this is the original team. That was us with this the second location that we did, and then the most recent location, which is in Germany. So, like I said, we have the software, which is MyTurn, and we also are making our own version of MyTurn. So we're working with Jean right now to create a simplified version. Some people, like a co-working space, they don't need MyTurn. MyTurn is quite advanced tool for someone that is just lending out 8 items to 100 people. That doesn't matter to them. So we're making a simplified version of MyTurn, which we're calling it the CLN version. Then we have the touch screen, which is white label, and then we have a universal app. And this universal app allows anyone to be able to log in with their MyTurn account, which is connected to the app just to manage the lockers. Then we have 2 electronic systems. So we have this is what we call the CLN Pro and Standards. They are the same, it's just a matter of numbers. And then we have a CLN Mini, which is like a box, like you can see the middle one there, that has 8 locks, and then that can fit into an IKEA cabinet, like a Kallax, very well. And then we also have a community platform. So we believe that the reason that has to be scalable and to be viable, it has to be locally managed. So no one, I don't know your community better than you know yourself. It would be extremely patronizing of me to tell you what to do. So instead, we provide you with the tech so you can do it for yourself. And then we have a community space, which is a peer-to-peer basic support group, a forum where you can share your knowledge, you can help each other out, and so on. And the plan is to tokenize that so we can lower people's subscriptions the more they help other people in the community, which means that then tool libraries and libraries of things that have very small budgets can, make up their budgets by being able to be helpful to other tool libraries and libraries of things. Okay, there is 2 little videos of how our system works. So this is what a pro and standard system looks like, and these are in the libraries in Reykjavik. This is Lena, our UX UI designer slash actress. As you can see, it's a very simple login system. We don't have just the numbers anymore. We already upgraded to a full keyboard. And then you can borrow what you need, you use it, and then you return it, and it's all automated. We also have maintenance systems automated, so you can put an item under maintenance. We're soon going to also offer it so you can put an item that needs cleaning, so you can put a report for that. And then this is the app version with just IKEA furniture that we use. So you just have a QR code for the location to recognize where you are, so you can borrow the items. And the way that we build the system is so funny that the locks fit exactly into the IKEA shelving. And that was not planned. That was just damn luck. So that's why we use these locks. They're universal locks. We used to tell people to buy the locks themselves. Now we ship the first batch of locks with the controllers, with the kit, because it makes more sense that you already have everything you need as soon as you can. I have 3D printers behind me, so they're making a lot of noise. I apologize. Yeah,
Don't worry,
so
it's not coming through. You're
okay,
coming through
cool.
great.
I just heard
I
this
would let you
telling me
know.
they finished. So I was like, oh. Yeah, so on the top left-hand side, you can see the first ever system. I built it myself. I learned how to use a CNC machine, and it is terrible. But it still works today, and it hasn't broken yet. It's been almost 4 years now, so it's great. And then on the bottom right-hand side is the latest one in Reykjavik. It used to be a tower with 3 and a little cubit, like you can see on the picture next to the first one. And we managed to scale it. So basically, we had more demand for items. So we just build more towers, and our system allows you to connect one to the next. It's like Lego. So you don't have to have any electric or technical skill to be able to assemble this. And that was the whole point. We want to put the friction of creating this and developing this to the lowest bar as possible. And we also have really good data from emission factors. So what we are doing now is we also creating a database that is going to be eventually inside Myturn that shows the emissions saved from items shared versus items owned. I can give you, if we have some time, I'll give you a little view of our database, but we're building it right now, and we're collecting all the data ourselves, and then we are collecting the database and doing like small life cycle assessments. So we're not doing a whole LCA, but we're doing segments of the LCA that is valid for what we are trying to do and report. And there's also a place where our clients can change the data themselves so they can see their actual impact. So let's say I put the drill is 2.5 kilos, but theirs is 2.3. They can just change the 2.3 there. So basically what it works is that you choose any of the sizes that you want, the cabinet design as you want, the content of the items, the business model. So do you want to do membership? Do you want to do it for free? Do you want to do a rental? Do you want to do a mix of the two? You can do whatever you like. And then you choose the type of interface you want. And we provide all the secondary to that. And the way that we charge is that we have a subscription. So our subscription is not just for the software on top of MyTurn. It is really hardware as a service. So let's say your controllers break, you just send it back to us, we'll replace it for you, and then we'll repair what we can, and then disassemble what we can't, and reuse what we can, the parts that we can reuse, and then recycle it ourselves. Um, we also do a buyback program. So let's say you have the project for a year and you're like, this is not working out to us. We'll buy it back, the electronics at the 50% cost of what we paid, what you paid. And then after 24 months or after 12 months to 24 months is 25% back. And if after 2 years you don't want the project anymore, you can send it back to us and we will donate the electronic system to another NGO. And that is how we're doing. So the subscription for us is not just for the software, the app or the community platform, is also for the hardware as a service. We're doing that to think of the circularity as a total. We don't want to put a product out there that we can't repair or so on. We are in a very strange situation where the world is just not ready for open source hardware, because it's a matter of, if I allow people to have an open source of our hardware, a lot of people are going to take what we build and use it for the things that we don't want them to. So monetization of products that we don't want to be part of. So we need to have some level of control, and that's why we decided to go down with this business model. So it's very simple. You choose what system you like. So 8, 16, or 24 locks. And then you pay us, the hardware price is for manufacturing. So that's what you're paying for, is the cost of manufacturing, shipping, assembly, and so on from the team to build for you the kit. And then the subscription is the payment. You have 2 years warranty. So for the first 2 years, we're going to replace everything. And after that, it's just a matter of if you are subscribed. If you don't have a subscription, we do not replace things after 2 years. But then you can't really use our hardware without a subscription. So it's like, that's just how it works. So our app right now, you are allowed to have multiple organizations in the same app. So let's say you are a member of your local library and a member of your tool library, and they both have items through the system that we have. So you can actually borrow from both of them under the same app. You don't have to keep changing your account. You just have to be able to make sure that you have an account with multiple locations. And one organization can have multiple locations themselves as well. The touchscreen interface is white label. So in the bottom, you can see where your branding and colors would go. We send out a kit for everyone because we're still in a way Flintstoning it. Do you guys know what I mean by that? Where you're just like running with your legs and pretending you're driving. Yeah, we're doing that a little bit right now with the touchscreen, where we still have to help you guys set it up. But the aim, what we're working on the background on the software, is so in the My Turn page that you are part of, you upload your colors and your content and your images, and it will automate spill out the touchscreen interface for you. So that's what we're working now. And the community platform is the sort of thing that's it's pretty cool, but I need to give you guys a proper tour of it to understand. We have a place where we have all the resources that we share with people, the onboarding, the assembly guides, anything that is design, any files that we have open source design for, uploaded that. We have a partnership with Sharable, so we share their content there as well. And then you have your own organization page. We do not do Messenger, so you do not use our platform to talk to each other unless it's in a forum format. And we do that because it's a matter of GDPR. We don't want to be uncompliant. And honestly, it would cost us a lot more money to run something like a Messenger and have a like a server system for that specifically. So it doesn't make sense. So whenever people are on board, we always have to remind them, just so you know, everyone can see what you type, just so you know. And then we did a really cool project this last week where we analyzed the best system or the best business model for organizations to break even. So at least they make their money back, and how long it takes for them to do so. And this is the 4 types of systems that we're providing. Obviously, if you're doing it as a part of your membership in your own library, then this is irrelevant to you because it doesn't matter the cost. But we do work with a lot of tool libraries and other things. They have tight budgets, so they want to know what is the best option for their services. And this is a really nice analysis that we managed to do. So yeah, I think that's it for now. So if I see that there's lots of questions on the chat, but I was in a roll, so I just didn't stop.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And no, there'll be a lot more questions. So a lot of this was, yes, we agree, Jean is awesome, things like that. So
Okay, I hadn't seen
um,
anything.
yeah, don't worry, I'm monitoring for you. So that we do have some questions. So a lot of these folks, most of the folks on this, unlike the International Tool Library listserv, most of
Hmm.
the folks here and then watching after are public librarians, or
Hmm.
sometimes they're academic librarians, sometimes they're even school librarians. So as you know, it's a little different than the kind of nonprofit membership model or
Yeah.
this. Can you talk a little bit about how this system does work potentially in a public library or an academic library, and kind of what cost point are we talking here?
So the cost doesn't change, the subscription cost doesn't change. You might have extra costs for training. So if we do a general training, it's about 1,200, but it's not for per person we train,
Yeah,
it's for the organization. We do like three big training sessions, one with how to use my turn, one on how to use the hardware, and then one on how to basically do marketing for this and how to help you get through the project to get engagement. For libraries in general, you actually have a much better position because you do have some public funding, and that means that at least the cost of the hardware for the setup you can cover quite easily, and you can do the subscription a year in advance, and we even give a discount if people do pay a year in advance. So this way you can actually just buy all. The other beautiful thing about this is because we provide you with the design, or you can use already existing cabinets and adapt what you already have, the price for using those cabinets is much, much lower.
right.
So I would say that the price point for a municipal library is what it is on paper. So I would say it's not very high. It's just a matter of you have to be responsible for managing it for yourself. So just make sure you come to the training sessions, and if you have questions, ask them in the community platform. Um, and then I think you that was one of the segment of your question, and the other segment is how it works with the public libraries.
Yeah,
So it depends. It really depends. So right now we're working in Reykjavik. The NGO runs the projects in the public libraries. That's how we separate it here. But in Denmark right now we're working with the municipalities in Vestmanna, and basically the libraries will manage for themselves. The beautiful thing about using MyTurn is that you
mm,
can actually have a universal login system. So MyTurn is compatible with most library softwares, which
yeah,
means that you can have the same login for our system than you do for your library cards and so on. So that doesn't change much. The only difference is that you would have to embed, for example, the My Turn page onto your website so people can reserve things from there. But again, not very hard to do either, which is the beauty of why we're building it as we're building it. So comparatively with what is in the market, we are quite cheap, but also we are a better service in a way because we're providing people with tools rather than tell them how to do it for themselves. But we support them on the process of doing it. So for perspective, right now there were 5 procurements in Europe for sharing stations in libraries and projects, and we won 4 of the 5. So it's growing, is a movement that is growing and is being seen more as part of what libraries should be offering, because in a way, in my mind, a library is the perfect anti-capitalist approach to sharing economy. I mean, it is like you go to a library, you already know how to behave there, right? So to create a library of things or a sharing system for items, putting it in a library to me is a no-brainer because it makes total sense. Then you already know how you're going to interact with that. You're going to borrow something. So I think then, generally speaking, it's a very good partnership. We have some libraries that are working with NGOs. We have some libraries that are doing it for themselves. Either are a great ways of approaching it. I think in a way, libraries, there are municipal libraries or public libraries tend to have an advantage on the fact that you do have some secure funding, so it's easier. And for example, we have 5 locations in Iceland, and we have a person working 2.5 days a week only to go
Wow.
around. And I think we calculated that if we had 20 locations, would still have only one person working 5 days a week for 20 locations. And the reason that it would be that is because he has to travel between locations, because if he was independently, it would be even easier in a way. So yeah. And someone said, if you need more than 24 locks, would you just buy multiple pros? So it depends. Yeah, I always say buy 2 standards to begin with, 2 pros to begin with, um, and then see how it goes. There is a limit on the subscription for the number of items under the same organization, same location. So right now, you pay what you pay for up to 50 items. After 50 items is a different bracket, but that's not from our side, that's from the Mighten side. The reason for our side is that we also have to take in consideration the hardware that we are now putting under the subscription. But generally speaking, what has happened is that people have multiple locations. So they divide and conquer their what's the name, their inventory in different types of inventory, and put it that way. So for example, the library in Reykjavik downtown, they're building a new library. They're refurbishing a new building next to the library to make into the library as well. And we're getting a whole floor, and that's like 100 items on that wall. So that's going to be crazy. But that
Wow.
is, yeah, but that is the sort of thing that in Iceland also you have summer and winter items. You have to have the changeover. There is no point of having camping gear in the winter time here. So we you always have to adapt whatever you want. So I would not recommend to have 500 items in the system. Mostly because also some of those items I don't recommend to be in the system anyway. If are items that you need to check, people have training for it, or if there are items that you need to verify the age of the person before doing it. So I think there's certain items that you shouldn't really do it. For example, I would never put a table saw in a locker system like this. It's too much of a danger. But I have them at the tool library, so they can have with the same membership come to us at the tool library or go to the locker system and borrow it from it.
This makes so much sense with a lot of the stuff we've been talking about. Karen, you have a question.
Yes. I was wondering about, because as we know, there are a lot of different sizes and shapes. Do you have, because it appeared that in the images, which looks very, very cool, by the way, there seem to be like set standard sizes, but do you have other sizes, like if you need to go a little bigger or even
You can do
smaller, or
whatever you like. The
people
design
just
is up
order?
to you. We
Okay.
provide you a standard design that we offer for everyone for free on our open design base, but you can build the cabinets as you please, and you can have whatever size you like. The lockers, the reason we made them modular like this is so you can have bigger size lockers if you want to. So it
Mm.
really is up to you. And we do have an in-house designer. The only thing that we do is if it is something that we design that is available to everyone. So we don't do bespoke design. He does take contracts for that sort of thing himself. But and he's kind of the best person to do it because he already knows how our system works for wiring. But you can do the cabinets whatever size you like.
Okay, great. Thank you. Although, by the way, great use of flintstoning. Loved it.
Yeah, yeah, that is what we're doing.
So some of the libraries on here, some of us have like very large collections, other of us have smaller collections. We're growing. And again, you've touched on so many themes that we've seen throughout from, because we have a speaker once a month and a lot of things like, hey, I'd lend this, not this. This is why it doesn't work for our community. So something you mentioned here that I think is important to point out is how you have summer items and winter items. So in essence, what you're doing is you're not storing your items in this cabinet forever. The cabinet is more of a display system for use, right? And then you have a
Yeah,
larger
it's
collection kind of behind closed doors. Is that correct?
yeah. So basically, the way we realized when COVID happened, right, that being stuck in one location wasn't good for us for the items. We had a lot of demands in lots of different neighborhoods, and we needed to be closer to people. We wanted to be in the libraries because in Iceland, there's a huge culture of swimming pools as well. So the two places we want to be in Iceland is the swimming pools and the libraries,
Yeah.
because every neighborhood has a swimming pool, and every other neighborhood has a library. So the concept of us spreading our inventory that we already have. So we're not buying anything new. We're just using what we have and spreading around. We get votes from the local community. So if you live in the postcode 101, what items would you like to borrow? If you live in postcode 200, what items would you like to borrow? And you determine the items based on their response. But also, people say sometimes they want to borrow things and then they never do. So we have this overlock sewing machine that we were nagged into getting for people, and then it hasn't been bought out once, so you just don't know what people actually do. So after a while you kind of clock on to what is actually borrowable or not. And there are things, so right now our two libraries actually closed because we didn't have enough funding to keep a person working there. So for the time being, we only have the locker systems available in Reykjavik. But I know there is a demand for the other two libraries to reopen at some point soon, because I keep getting so many emails of people that want specific things that I don't feel comfortable putting in a locker system. I think the table saw is the most required one right now. And that's why it was in my mind that I wouldn't put one in there, because I always have to explain to people why I won't put it in there for them. Because there are the thing that we are developing, and this is the thing that I think sometimes people don't understand. It takes a lot of work to develop all of this, and it takes a lot of money to pay people to be able to do that with us, right? And I don't believe in volunteering forever. I think if we are truly going to make circular economy a viable thing and sharing economy a viable thing, then we need to start paying people. So I am not pro doing things for free anymore. I think everyone should get paid. I think they should get paid, we should get paid. And if we truly believe in this, then we need to push that sort of agenda forward. But I am going sideways here. What I was going to say is basically when it comes to having a location, a main location in Germany, for example, they have a huge location, and then they use the systems as pick up and drop off systems. Right now, again, they're flintstoning it. They are changing it themselves. They're changing on my turn themselves. But we are working on creating an automation system for that. So you do a reservation, they will put the item there for you. You pick up, everything gets returned into whatever place you want, and so on. But it's not there yet, because that is a lot more complicated than people think. I love it. I think it's very funny. People think that this is like, oh, you just do that. I was like, no, you don't. You don't just.
Yeah, in theory, it's so simple, but yet there's so many complexities, which is which is why I was so impressed with this system, which is so great. Karen, you got another question? I love it. Keep them coming.
Yeah, and
Please
I
do.
agree. People don't necessarily realize how much effort, like even some of us who are in the industry don't necessarily always realize all the steps. And with that in mind, actually, you had mentioned something in the presentation that I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. I think you were saying that when people return things, that you could set up the system so that certain things that need to be cleaned or have something done to it, that before it gets checked out again, when it's brought back, it sort of does an alert to the person in charge to come and get it and check it, clean it, whatever. Is
Yeah.
that the case?
Yeah, so right now we only have the maintenance point. The cleaning point is coming up. So the way it works is that you return the item. There is a button underneath saying, does it need maintenance? You click yes. Then the item's taken out of commission. No one else can borrow the item until whoever managed the project um, checks it and put it back into the system manually. And that's done on purpose to force you to have to do it. The notification system is not ready yet. So right now, for example, this is why I say that once this all the software development is done, or will we ever be finished? I don't know. But
No,
as we're
not
doing
you.
it, the next steps, right? Once the next step's done, it will alert the person, which then will reduce the actual need for the person that currently is working for us once a week, twice a week. Because if they only, then they only check when they need to check rather than have to check weekly, right? Because right now they check quickly because the item is under maintenance. He can see it online. We have a dashboard where he will see what is under maintenance that he needs to check, but he doesn't get an alert, so he still has to do it for himself. But for the user experience, right now they return an item, they put it under maintenance. The next point would be that they'll put it under cleaning, and then there will be a cleaning fee, because I think that's important, that no one's going to just clean for them. They have to understand they're going to return something that needs cleaning, that maybe they should be paying for that service too.
Right. So just to clarify, you're saying it's actually the patron who is selecting that it needs maintenance. It's not an automated, like the library or whoever is setting it, that when it's returned and that door closes, that it's.
You can
Oh,
set
you
up.
can.
So we did during COVID, you can set up that once an item is returned, you have a 24-hour period before the item's available again. You can do that through the MyTen site. So that can be automated that way. It doesn't display on the touch screen for the client. It just says that is not available the next time anyone else logs in. But that creates more work for you, but it really depends on the type of item that you want to do it. So if you have a tent and you want to lend out a tent or a carpet cleaner, then it's cleaning very often. I would say that that's a good idea. So yeah, you can do that.
Such good stuff. So just to clarify, yeah, I have a few questions just to clarify and make sure we're all on the same page, because not everyone has geeked out on your presentations to the same level I have, I think. But so right now, if say a library was like, oh, this seems like a kind of cool system, I could see it working as a good way to try out like library of things. Especially I could see public libraries being like, oh, I could almost put this outside my building or in a lobby, and this could provide after hours access. Is that a model you've used, or is it much more inside only?
So we don't recommend to have systems outside. We do have 2 clients currently who are putting systems outside, one in Belgium, one in Sweden. No one needs 24 hours access to a drill. Who's going to drill at 3 a.m.? Is a crazy concept to me. I think a lobby for sure, a public space for sure, but we always recommend to have it indoors for many security reasons. Your items, if they're under the building, they're generally under the insurance of the building too. So, you know, you should have those sorts of things thought through it. For us, the libraries in Iceland, they're open till late because some of them are also in swimming pools, and the swimming pools are open till 10 p.m. So that's why we kind of work with that. If you want to put in a more public space or a lobby that has access to it, but is not the library itself, that's also possible. That is not a problem at all. But I don't recommend outside. We have 2 people doing it right now. But the beauty of what we're building is that it's modular. You can disassemble, put it back inside if you want to, if that doesn't work out for you. It's just a matter of vandalism and security. For example, we normally recommend, so we have like the different pricing slots, something like the CLN Mini. I don't ever recommend that to a library, for example. For a co-working space or a community that wants to share with their own building their items, sure. But for someone that wants to do public interface, I think the Standard and the Pro are better because it gives you the modularity to have the changes and make A/B testings and move things along if you want to. If something doesn't work, you can try out. The Mini is more limited, so it gives you less flexibility. So I will always say, go for the standard, go for touchscreen inside a library, mostly because of accessibility. There's all sorts of things that need to be thought through. So the app is not fully, it is accessible, but we don't have, for example, the black and white version of it yet. There's quite a few things that have to come before they're fully accessible. For example, we want to do voice features in the future as well, so people can hear what they need to press. you just have to think of all those sort of things. It's a lot. And this is why I want to do the tech and you guys do the implementation, and then we can together do things and make things happen. It's just not doable to try and do everything, which is unfortunately what's happening right now. I think you must have heard of the Library of Things in London. They are quite successful in a way where they keep all the inventory. They are a for-profit company. They are based in libraries and other buildings. And then the way that they work is that they monetize it for themselves. So that's how they cover their costs. That's very different from what we are doing. In a way,
Yes.
they're changing their business model to match ours now, but we'll see how that happens.
Ah, okay, so that's good to know. So for those of you who aren't familiar, we on here the speakers we bring in tend to be very focused on kind of public libraries, less the rental models. But of course, we have run into a number of rental models, and that's great too. And what's called the Library of Things in over across the pond from many of you are from Maine actually, is from in the UK and the United Kingdom and Europe. It's a rental model. But it's very popular. There's a lot of them. I can look that up later. On the note of kind of different models, so you mentioned that you're going to have a build out that's about 100 of these lockers, right, in this new library. Have you ever seen
in
it
3 years they're still building the building?
I know, but I'm excited. Hey, I've watched what you've done in the last 3, and I was like, woohoo, here we go. And that's what it's just going to take, right? All of us together doing our little parts. So there's some libraries, like I'm at a library where, again, we have My Turn, we work with Jean, and we have about 1,500 items. We only list about 500 in Jean software because we compile them, so you're not seeing all the knitting needles, for example. But I could see us being interested in this system if we decided to go into either we had a kind of a space in a secondary location, or we had certain items that we wanted that we felt like would be better with the locker system for various reasons, just because of a level of training or checkout or something. Have you done those hybrid systems where you have a bunch of Library of Things on the shelf and then some that are in this? Can you talk a little bit about that?
We have a system like that currently in Canada with the guys from Thingery in Vancouver. So they have, they're working with buildings, and they are kitting out rooms where they have items in the lockers, which are the most expensive items. And then they have other items outside of the locker, and you can use our system to borrow both.
Amazing.
So the touchscreen. You can also, the app version's not ready yet. We actually is our next, we're doing reservations next, and then we're doing items outside of the lockers after. But the plan is to have things so people will be able to borrow from inside and outside the lockers.
When you were a little person, you probably never imagined this role, CEO of a tech company, you're like, oh.
Not really. My background's in conservation, restoration, or historical objects. Like, I'm a museum person to begin with. But that was, no jobs in the industry, and what are you going to do about it? My dad jokes that I continuously fall upwards. And that's just how it's happening. And just like I'll do this now and see if it works. And then it works. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna continue doing that. And it's
and we're so glad you have. I think a lot of us relate to that story, that we intended this way, and then trying to meet community needs. So woohoo. You have another question in chat, which is, so do you have an online portfolio of places that display these different types of libraries? Because obviously your presentation was beautiful, but it would be great to kind of share this to
we're currently building a new website, and in the website we have a lot of mocks of things and what they're gonna look. I'm gonna give you a cheeky look on that. So give me 5 minutes. We're just working right now on preparing the design for the website. We're changing colors, and things are a little bit all over the place. This is a 38-page document. So I'm not gonna
On that note, to change, you said you were changing your branding a little. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's also something some of us have been through, where I know at least I came from the tool library world as a volunteer. And if I remember showing them a picture of what I thought was a really clean tool library, my colleagues at my public library, and they were like, oh my gosh, we cannot have that here. And we had to rethink. Thankfully, we had an amazing team to rethink how it would work. Now we still have all those same, most of the same tools, no table saw, just like you, Anna, but we had to rethink how it would look at the library. And I feel like you are talking about that now, going through kind of a rebranding process.
I mean, for us, the rebranding is more to do with a sellability of the context for those who are not from the industry, right? We have a
Got
lot
it.
of people that are not tool librarians or library things, that if we're going to make this mainstream, we need to embody them into it, and how it's becoming a thing. Like, I am not a salesperson, but I'm having to learn to be one. And luckily for me, my dad is a salesperson, so I've seen a lot of that. So, for example, we have a lot of mocks, so that's what it will look like in a co-working space. And then we also have to then
Cool.
justify how they would do it. Is it indoors? Is it a standard system? What sort of items they would share? What would be their cost to us? How long until they break even for this project? So there's a lot of things like that. If you're gonna use a co-work space for like staff perks, so you have a bunch of staff and you want to give them perks, maybe give them access to things. Luckily, you all are in a library, already have access to a bunch of stuff. You don't have to worry about it. But that is not common practice in other working spaces. In a hotel, let's say you go visit and you have a child and you want to borrow a trolley to be able to take your child around. Why is that not more easily accessible? Why don't we use the same system to do something like that? The plan is, if we can have enough of income from organizations that are not tool library per se, that means we can subsidize a lot of the tool libraries. There are NGOs, so they can pay staff. That is how I see it. Like maker spaces. The maker spaces are known to be extremely unorganized. I know that because my living room is one. And basically, if we can work with maker spaces and fab labs, they can build their own lockers with our design. They have everything to do it. So student housing, why do you always have to buy all the source stuff that you could potentially share? If you have friends come over, maybe there should be an extra duvet set in there so people can visit you and you just wash and put it back after the fact. As same thing with the smaller items in a residential building, so you can share with your neighbors and have access to things. This one is the one that I like the least, but I was told I had to do it. So it's like retailer, and put in a retail stop. So we have one competitor right now, and I'm kind of pissed at them. It's a great idea. They have this happening in France all over the place, and they have those lockers and they do rental. And then they weren't making enough money because they were putting the systems in student buildings and so on. And the student would use, and they were getting charged per hour. So people would use for like the hour, right? So now they move them into like supermarkets. So people have to travel, and then the travel time counts towards your rental time. And I was like, that is ridiculous. That is so mean. Like, you literally taking something away from people because you want to make more. That I cannot be okay with that. We figured out that if we focus on the tech, that means we make enough money for our team that we can also subsidize our own tool library and to be able to do other things on that level. That's where we want to be at. So it's difficult. Anyway, again, outside locker, I don't recommend, but there is an option for it. It is available. This would only use with a phone, because we wouldn't put a touch screen on that, because the touch screens that would have to be doable outside for weather protection and so on, they're so expensive. If you do it yourself, or you have to buy one of those Chinese locker imports. And those Chinese locker imports, they don't let you update your own software to it. So you have to ship them your software. And that's when they copy your software. And then suddenly you see your product being sold everywhere. So there's lots of things that are difficult. Like, sometimes people are like, oh, but you should be more open. I was like, yes, but also we need to eat and pay rent. So like, and this is what we look in a library, right? So it's pretty straightforward. The items, this is all made up items, as you can see. Very bad AI art. But then, like, for example, with the, let me see, I think, so basically the way that the business model works for the user is very simple as well. That's kind of where we want to be at. It's like 5 steps. You choose your hardware, you choose your business model, they create accounts, they log in to borrow, and then you lend what you need out. But what I really like, I'm gonna just show you.
This is wicked. Oh, sorry.
I don't know if
That's
you
a
guys
local
have
thing.
time.
That's
Like,
good.
I'm just so I built our own database with emission calculator. So we have a formula that we created for it. So let's say you have a drill that you want to find. You can find a drill. This is not it. I need to go on the admin panel and then on the search. So this is going to be embedded into our community platform. And then let's say you need a drill. You'll be able to find a drill, and then let's say your drill is 3 kilos, and you had 600 unique borrows for that drill. So that's how much emission savings you have done by lending out that one drill.
So is that, and just a quick question there, is that the assumption that we're actually impacting manufacturing at this stage? Because if all of those people had bought a drill and those was all manufactured, of course, that would be awful.
So yes and no. So we have
Okay.
a calculation that is based on percentage of the research that we have done. So 50%
Ah,
said that they would buy, 30% said that they would borrow, 20% said that they would go without. And
yeah.
then it calculates based on that.
Okay, cool.
But this is your unique borrow. So you can get that data from your My Turn. And let's say you had this drill and it was borrowed 2,000 times, but we only count the first borrow. You cannot count like the first borrow of one individual. If an individual borrowed the item 2 times, maybe they could have bought it and it would have been fine. So it depends where the number goes down enough.
Cool.
So it's like a break-even point for the different types of machinery, but you can also do for tents, and you can do for screwdrivers, and you can do for whatever you want. And we're creating this database and we're onboarding the database into it. And then in the community platform, we have all the information, and it's like a wall. So it's a very simplified version of what what's the name? Of what Facebook used to be many moons ago. And then you have your groups that you can talk through depending on the subject that you want to talk about. You have the Q&A, so questions that are asked the most are moved here so people can find them easily as a result. So you don't get the same question over and over again. And then you can always come here to look for questions rather than email us directly. And then you have the resources. So you have the different things that you can find that we provide. And then you have the community. So let's say you're installing a locker system here but you need the help from an electrician. You can just find one here and message them. Or let's say you need someone to help you with the design. You can just find a designer in here, look for it. And then you have the organizations. You have the map of where they all are, and then the organizations and where they're from. And then they have their own page. So in the page, they can have their team. And this can be used a bit like a handover system. So you can put information, you can put videos, you can put pictures and documents as well about your organization. So yeah, I think I covered everything now.
Oh, you'll never cover everything because you're just going to keep innovating. We know it. And you and your team. Yeah.
Yeah, there is never an end to it. So Kayla, is it Kayla? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce
there's
it.
Karen who was asking you.
No,
Oh,
Kayla.
yes.
Yeah. We don't have a place yet with the pictures, but on our website there is a carousel. So it's circularlibrary.network, and there's a carousel there of locations with the current locations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it is Kyla, by the way, in case you were curious.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyla, okay. Yeah.
Kyla, we're so glad to have you here. Great question too, because I'm going to use that as well. And now you can send them to this presentation as well. So that's
Yeah, this one they can go to. The other one's not ready yet.
Yeah. Okay, well, I want to be cognizant of time because you have so many things to do, and thank you so very much for taking the time to
No
talk
problem.
with us. I really think that this is a great option for so many public libraries, especially who are a little hesitant to jump right into this, or maybe they're worried about, all sorts of different things that a locker system like yours really helps take away some of that worry with the community you've helped
Yeah.
create and the ideals you have. So thank you for one, creating it, two, continuing to work with it, and three, sharing with us today. So before we go, we probably have time for one more question if anyone has one here. Don't hesitate to unmute or type in like Kyla did.
And just so you guys know, I know that most libraries have an end of budget that they must spend. We're working with a lot of libraries right now, planning about this time of the end of the year to do it so we ship to them next year. So if you're interested and you want to plan your end of budgets, you have some extra money, we can work around it to ship the electronics over there for it.
Oh, that is good to know. Thank you so much for that. Cool. Well,
We're good. No more questions. Great.
I was gonna say no more. I mean, you're good. What I can say, we can tell you've done this before. So, thank you so much, Anna, and all your team. Really appreciate it, and everyone who came to this. Thank you. We can keep doing these because people come and watch afterwards. So this is all, we're all in this together, trying to figure out how to make the sharing economy work. So thank you for being a part of it because we're gonna make it work. We've got good stuff already. So woohoo! Go team.
All right, guys.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for your time. I really appreciate it and
Thank
the
you so
opportunity to talk
much.
to you all.
Be well, everyone. Bye-bye. Anna, you are so awesome. Never hesitate to reach out. And
Yeah,
thank you for everything you do.
no problem. And if you guys need anything, just